two sisters got married on the same day. The older sister rode a Rolls-Royce to become the CEO's wife, while the stepsister rode an electric bike to marry an ordinary programmer, simply because she had a special fondness for programmers. In their past lives, the older sister originally married the poor programmer, thinking she would have to endure a life of hardship. Unexpectedly, the programmer became the richest man in the world. Her three brothers-in-law treated her like a queen. On the other hand, the stepsister married the CEO. On their wedding night, the CEO spent the night with his first love. This scandal was photographed by reporters and posted online. The next day, the mother-in-law scolded her harshly, blaming her for failing to keep her husband. Soon after, the CEO's company faced a bankruptcy crisis. In an instant, the sisters' statuses reversed. The stepsister was sent to a mental hospital. The stark contrast fueled her hatred toward the older sister. Little did she know the older sister also suffered greatly in her husband's household. Driven by jealousy, the stepsister stabbed the older sister to death. Before dying, the older sister retaliated and killed the stepsister. After their deaths, they were both reborn on the day of the marriage selection. Their father and stepmother were pressuring the older sister, using her mother's tech company to force her to marry the programmer, so the stepsister could marry the CEO. As the older sister was deciding, the stepsister rushed over and grabbed the programmer's marriage contract. Their mother reminded her that the programmer only earned $3,000 a month, had a harsh widowed mother, and two younger brothers to care for. Worrying that she'd live a tough life after marrying him, but knowing the programmer would become the richest man, the stepsister was determined to marry him. Seeing this, the older sister sensed something was wrong. As in the previous life, she would rather die than marry the CEO. She began suspecting the stepsister had also been reborn. The older sister deliberately snatched the marriage contract, planning to extort money from her. Desperate to avoid her previous life's fate, the stepsister offered $600,000 for the programmer's marriage contract. The older sister agreed immediately, knowing the programmer would later turn into a scumbag. Since the stepsister was so eager to repeat her past mistakes, the older sister decided to let her. Soon, both sisters married on the same day. This time, the older sister married the CEO, while the stepsister chose the programmer riding an electric bike. The stepsister thought the older sister would also be abandoned by the CEO, as he would go back to his first love. But the older sister wasn't foolish this time. Knowing his first love would faint from a sudden gastric spasm, she had arranged for medical staff in advance to take her to the hospital, preventing the CEO from leaving her side. Meanwhile, the stepsister was eager to consummate her marriage with the programmer, but the programmer had feelings for the older sister. He left her to sleep in the living room, making her furious and questioned whether her beauty and figure were inferior to her sister's. The next morning, after serving tea to her mother-in-law, she was given $100 as a gift. Though the amount was small, she remembered how, in her past life, the CEO's mother not only gave her nothing, but also scolded her for failing to keep the CEO. She assumed the older sister was being scolded by her mother-in-law at that moment. Little did she know the older sister was highly favored. The mother-in-law gifted her a jade bracelet worth millions, and praised her for skillfully managing the situation with the CEO's first love, while protecting the family's reputation. On the day they visited their parents, the stepsister and the programmer arrived early, but the gifts they brought disgusted their father.